At the edge of a grand old forest, full of wildlife, there is a charming little cottage, almost hidden from view by trees, bushes, birds and butterflies. Decorated with carpets, curtains, shelves and tables, all from a time long since past. It is here, within these walls, Bellasini has managed to travel to places most of us have never dared dream of. For this is Gran's house, a house which is home to thousands upon thousands of old books. Every shelf, on every wall, floor to ceiling, is packed solid with Gran's mysterious old books. She must have a copy of every fairy tale, fable, myth and adventure ever written. Each day, Gran is able to whisk Bellasini away to far-off lands simply by reading aloud from one of her amazing books, set in times long ago when magic and dreams ruled the world. Some days, Gran would have Bellasini on the edge of a seat with tales of fire-breathing dragons, goblins, imps and elves, while on others she would just sit spellbound, listening to amazing stories of handsome young princes searching mysterious lands far and wide for their long-lost princesses. After each amazing tale, Gran would always take Bellasini's hands into her own and quietly whisper, "Princess, all those who have lost faith in their dreams and wishes are destined to be trapped in reality forever. Cinderella changed her life with a single wish, and so can you, so long as you keep believing in your dreams and wishes." Gran did not believe that wishes should be saved until your birthday, a rainbow or a falling star. She would always tell Bellasini, "You can never make too many wishes." And what was wrong with the world today was that too many people had lost faith in their own dreams. Gran truly believes if we all keep wishing long and hard enough, all our dreams and wishes really will come true. So each day, with her hands firmly clasped inside Gran's, Bellasini would close her eyes, look towards the heaven, and recite her ever-growing list of wishes. Each afternoon, after hearing one of Gran's amazing stories and making her wishes, Bellasini would accompany Gran on her walk through the magnificent rainforest, across the road from her cottage. Together, they must have walked through that forest more than 1,000 times, yet Bellasini cannot remember a single visit where Gran did not reveal something new, a plant, flower, bird or small creature which had gone unseen on all previous visits. Bellasini was sure that these mysterious old woods were Gran's enchanted forest, a secret place of mystical adventure. A few years ago, on one such walk, Bellasini remembers Gran coming across a grand old oak tree which had shed all its leaves and looked as if it was about to wither and die. Gran was heartbroken to see the tall old tree that had shaded her for so many years in such a state. Bellasini will never forget the emotion on Gran's face as she tenderly wrapped her arms around its ailing trunk, causing the 2 teardrops which had welled in her eyes to splash down on the exposed roots of the dying tree. The next day, as if by magic, the old tree was once again dancing to and fro in the wind. As they approached, every new leaf on the tree madly waved and fluttered as its trunk bowed gracefully in the direction of Gran. Bellasini was in no doubt this was not a result of a sudden gust of wind. The magnificent old tree was merely expressing its gratitude to the kind-hearted angel who loved and cared for all the creatures of the forest. Gran responded with a smile and blew a kiss, which was carried by a small puff of wind to every dancing leaf on the tree. Bellasini has inherited Gran's love of the forest and their trees. So each day she always did everything she possibly could to protect and nurture all the trees and creatures of Gran's enchanted forest. Bellasini's mother thinks Gran's stories and escapades in the forest may be a result of her ever-increasing age and illness. And maybe she was right. Gran had of late been very ill. Her hair had turned completely grey, and her once beautiful face was now hidden beneath scores of wrinkles. A gypsy could surely tell you more about the future from the spellbinding lines running across Gran's face than she could from 1,000 palms. However, behind Gran's wide-rimmed spectacles, her remarkable emerald green eyes still sparkled like moonlight dancing on a lake of glass. Each day, after her walk in the forest with Gran, Bellasini rushes home to chat online with all her friends about all the different things she may have discovered with Gran that day. Bellasini has thousands of friends all over the world on social media. She likes to think of her laptop and mobile phone as her own little pieces of magic. Just by typing in a few seemingly magical words, they were able to take her anywhere in the world. They are her source of far-off adventure and fun, her looking glass into the world beyond, her very own crystal balls. A quick glance around Bellasini's bedroom readily confirms Gran's influence. It is filled with dolls and figurines from countless movies and books. However, there is one very special figurine which takes pride of place on her shelves. An old and somewhat tattered chimney sweep boy. It is definitely not the cleanest, newest, nor best looking of her toys. In fact, it would be very easy to believe this figurine really had been up a few dirty chimneys. It originally belonged to Gran, who for years had it on display in her living room. For some unknown reason, every time Bellasini visited Gran's house, she was drawn to the boy. She held him ever so tightly through each and every one of Gran's fantastic tales. On her 5th birthday, Gran decided to give the doll to Bellasini. She still remembers Gran's words as she passed her the doll. Never judge anybody by his or her appearance. Their true beauty will always lay hidden within. Bellasini's parents live next door to Gran, so her upstairs bedroom window opens up over the rainforest. She tries never to close that window, as each morning many of her furry little friends from the forest climb through it to visit her. Her 2 special friends are a beautiful bluebird and a playful little squirrel, which are sure to climb through the window each morning. Every morning, the high-spirited bluebird, perched atop Bellasini's bookshelf, would whistle a set of merry tunes it had learned from Bellasini, while the mischievous little squirrel, who Bellasini had aptly named Mr. Squirrel, would drop gum nuts onto her pillow. There surely could be no better way in the world to be woken up each morning. Bellasini's life was almost perfect. It was the morning of Bellasini's 15th birthday. Mr. Squirrel and Bluebird had invited all the little creatures from the forest to help throw her a party. They all tiptoed through her open window very early that morning, waiting patiently for the sun to peep up over the horizon. As the first sunbeams began to dance across Bellasini's pajama-clad body, laying snugly asleep in her bed, Bluebird flapped her wings and began to whistle Happy Birthday as loud as her little lungs would permit. Bellasini's sleep-filled eyes were greeted with the vision of 100 little creatures and birds, sitting patiently atop every vantage point within her room. At first, she thought it was just another marvellous dream. That was until a misdirected gum nut dropped by Mr. Squirrel hit her on the nose. Bellasini then realised she had awoken to the most fantastic birthday surprise ever. As she sat up in bed, all the little creatures rushed forward to present her with their special gifts. There were red flowers, yellow ones, pink ones and blue, along with gifts of marbles, buttons, shiny stones, and even a little lost shoe. Her room was filled with the excited chatter and song of 100 different birds and animals, all vying for her attention. While singing and dancing around the room, Bellasini kissed and cuddled every little creature that was helping make this the most exciting birthday surprise ever. In fact, she was so excited, she almost forgot about the time. After quickly taking a shower and throwing on her clothes, she hurriedly gave each and every little friend, old and new, one last kiss and cuddle goodbye. They all sat ever so quietly, watching her every move as she turned to wave goodbye. Oh, how Bellasini wished they could understand her, for then she could tell them how dearly she loved them all. Although, just maybe, the heartfelt smile on her face as she waved goodbye expressed more love than any words she could have spoken. Birthday or not, Bellasini knew she would have to hurry, as she still had a lot to do before school. So she lovingly blew them all one last kiss and headed downstairs for breakfast. As she arrived at the foot of the stairs, her mother called out, "Happy birthday, Pumpkin." Her mother always calls her Pumpkin. Cinderella is Bellasini's favourite fairy tale princess. As a young girl, she would steal little pumpkins from her mother's pantry to store in her room. Once there, she would sit for hours wishing for her fairy godmother to appear and change her pumpkin into a beautiful horse-drawn carriage which could whisk her away to some far-off adventure-filled land. Bellasini still idolizes Cinderella, believing her to be the most perfect fairy tale princess there has ever been. In fact, she still keeps a small pumpkin on her dresser. She has never stopped wishing that maybe one day, even if it was just for a day, she will be able to follow in the footsteps of her beloved fairy tale princess. Just as Bellasini was about to step through the kitchen door, a deafening bang and crash of plates stopped her dead in the tracks. As she peered in, her eyes were greeted with a very unfamiliar sight. Her usually well-organised and spotlessly clean mother was standing motionless in the middle of the kitchen, covered from head to toe in a sticky combination of flour, eggs, milk and chocolate. The room was thick with flour dust, while the shelves, walls, ceilings and floors were covered with the same sticky goo and dust that covered her mother. There was not a square inch in the entire kitchen which was not coated with this sweet-smelling ooze. "Mum," uttered Bellasini, trying to hold back her laughter. What happened?" The ghostly, flower-covered silhouette of her mother fell back into one of the kitchen chairs. "It was supposed to be a birthday surprise breakfast, Pumpkin," she sighed. "It all started with the electric mixer. As soon as I put all the ingredients into the bowl, for no apparent reason, it just sped up and splattered them all over the walls. I couldn't turn it off. I had to rip the plug out of the wall. So I decided to mix the ingredients by hand. That worked, but when I placed the muffins in the microwave, the plate at the bottom span so fast it blew them out all over the place. So I tried just cooking your muffins in the oven. You're not going to believe this, but when I put the muffins inside to cook, the oven fan suddenly started to spin 1,000,000 miles per hour, blowing the mixture all over the walls and ceiling. Everything, and I mean everything electrical, has suddenly gone crazy," she concluded, throwing her hands up into the air in disbelief. As Bellasini's eyes began to scan the room, the extent of this cooking disaster became obvious. Cautiously tiptoeing into the kitchen, trying to dodge the sticky drops of cake mix falling from the ceiling, past the juicer which had splattered its contents all over the walls, she reached over and turned off the howling coffee grinder. Then stepping over the electric can opener, which had fallen to the floor after spinning a full can of beans everywhere, she pulled the plug on the electric kettle, which was still spewing boiling water and steam throughout the room. Desperately trying to hold back her laughter as she caught the toast shot across the room by the toaster, she chuckled. "Mum, I think you need to get Dad to take a look at these appliances." Still slumped in the kitchen chair, she explained that he was already at work. Apparently he'd been called into the office urgently during the night to fix some type of software glitch which was crippling the computers of the bank where he worked. "Well, don't you think we should at least call him?" continued Bellasini, tiptoeing through the sticky mess, trying not to touch anything. Throwing her hands once more into the air in despair, her mother explained the phone didn't work either. It appeared that everything electrical in the house had developed some type of crazy technical glitch. As she listened to her mother's desperate explanation, Bellasini attempted to call her father from her mobile phone. However, it too had gone faulty. "I would really love to stay and help you clean up, Mum," explained Bellasini, scanning the enormous mess. "But I am already running late for school." As she was hastily cramming the slices of toast she had caught earlier into her bag, she leaned forward, kissed her mother goodbye, and headed to school. Each morning, Bellasini takes a shortcut through the rainforest to school. It did not really save her any time, as she would spend any time she saved playing with the little friends and birds along the way. However, there could be no better way to start a school day than to follow the cobblestone path through the middle of Grand's enchanted rainforest. In recent times, Bellasini had met a new friend in the forest named Clint, a little 5-year-old boy who had been diagnosed with cancer. He is undergoing treatment each day at the local hospital. However, the treatments are making him very sick and tired, and now he has a lot of trouble just walking a few steps. The only way he is able to get to the forest each day is with his mother pushing him in a little wheelchair. Still, every morning that he's well enough, Clint insists his mother bring him to the forest to see Bellasini and her animal friends. He loves the way she is able to call over all the different creatures and feed them. Clint knew today was Bellasini's birthday, and even though he was feeling the pain of his illness, he pleaded with his mother to push him to the forest. "Bellasini, Bellasini, I've got a birthday present for you," called out Clint from his wheelchair. "Wow, you've got me a present," she excitedly responded, lifting him from his wheelchair. "What have you got me?" He leaned back in Bellasini's arms and pulled out a small flat parcel which he had obviously wrapped himself. "Well, thank you very much," smiled Bellasini, giving him a kiss on the cheek. What could this be?" she asked playfully, gently lowering him back into his chair. "You have to open it, Sini," replied Clint with a cheeky smile. "I'm not going to tell you. It's a surprise." "Wow, I love surprises," giggled Bellasini, as she slowly started to unwrap Clint's secret present. She carefully lifted every piece of colourful tape so as not to tear a single piece of Clint's homemade wrapping paper. "Faster, faster, Sini," shouted Clint, growing impatient with Bellasini's games. Inside, mounted in a frame that Clint had built himself, was a photograph his mother had taken of Bellasini and Clint feeding the animals the week before. At the bottom of the photo, Clint had carefully written the words, "So you can always take me with you to feed the animals." A small tear welled in the corner of Bellasini's eyes as she once again hugged Clint tightly. "Thank you very much, my little man. This is the nicest present you could possibly have given me. But does this mean you are not going to keep visiting me and our little friends in the forest each day?" "I hope I can, Sini," replied Clint. "But the doctors say I might have to live at the hospital for a while." Clint paused for a second before continuing. "Will you come and visit me and maybe sneak in some of our friends from the forest inside your bag." "Of course I will, Clint," replied Bellasini, fighting back her tears. "But you will be better in no time. Then you will be able to visit all our friends yourself." "I hope you're right, Sini," replied Clint, glancing down at all the little creatures which now surrounded his wheelchair. Bellasini took the toast that she had earlier put in a bag and gently placed it in Clint's hand. "Come on, Clint. I think our furry little friends are waiting for their breakfast." Clint loved feeding all the creatures of the rainforest. In no time at all, he would find his wheelchair surrounded by lively little birds, flapping and whistling their merry tunes, impatiently waiting for Clint to feed them. Baby ducks, squirrels, possums and bunnies soon emerged from behind every bush and tree, searching for the goodies that Clint was sure to have hidden in his pockets. Suddenly, Bellasini glanced at a watch. "Wow, is that the time? I'm going to be late for school. I'm sorry, Clint, but I'm going to have to run. But before I go," she continued, looking into his bright blue eyes, "what do we always do?" "We make a wish," shouted Clint, moving towards her with his arms outstretched. Bellasini clasped Clint's fragile little hands inside her own, in exactly the same manner as Gran does with hers, while saying, "Now close your eyes, look towards the heavens, and make a wish." As he leaned back into his wheelchair in the morning sun, Bellasini was presented with the heartbreaking picture of a spirited young boy trapped inside a disease-ravaged body. "How could this be?" she thought to herself. "It's just not fair." She felt so helpless. Clint closed his eyes and shouted out as loud as his fragile voice would allow, I wish, oh how I wish that one day I will be well enough to go to school like everyone else." Bellasini was just about to speak when Clint, with his eyes still closed, tightly continued, "I wish that Bellasini and my friends in the forest never ever get sick." Clint opened his eyes to seek Bellasini's approval for wishing more than one wish. "Is it okay that I made 2 wishes?" Trying desperately to hold back her tears, Bellasini pulled Clint into her embrace. "Of course it is, Clint. My Gran says everyone can wish as many wishes as they want." After one more hug and kiss on the cheek, Bellasini continued, "I am sorry, my little man, but I really have to go. Thank you so much for my present." Clint's mother hugged Bellasini and quietly thanked her for all the happiness she was able to bring her sick little boy, promising she would bring him back tomorrow so she could see him before he moved into the hospital. As Bellasini emerged from the other side of the rainforest, near the school gate, she could see her best friend Gemma waiting patiently. Gemma, or the star as she is fondly referred to by her friends, is the movie queen of the school. If anyone needs to know anything about any Hollywood actor or actress, they just ask Gemma. She is a member of just about every fan page of every actor and actress who is on social media. "Happy birthday, Sini," shrieked Gemma, catching sight of Bellasini emerging from the forest. "Thanks, Gemma," replied Bellasini glumly. "What's the matter, girl? It's your birthday. You're supposed to be happy." "I'm sorry, but you know the little boy I meet in the forest each morning who has cancer? Well, it seems that it's getting worse, and now he will have to stay in hospital for a while. It doesn't sound good, Gemma." "Sini," sighed Gemma, "how I wish there was something I could do to help. You know I would give anything to help Clint, but some things are just beyond either one of us to change." "I guess you are right," replied Bellasini, picking up her bag. "But I so wish I could change this one thing." "Okay," shrieked Gemma, sensing it was time to change the mood of the conversation. "Let's get with it, girl." "Oh, I nearly forgot," replied Bellasini, glancing down at her watch. "I have to call my dad." But my phone is not working. Can I borrow yours, Gemma? I'm sorry, Sini. It's not only your phone. The mobile phones and wireless networks of the entire town aren't working. Nobody's phone is working. I tell you, something very strange is going on today, Gemma, responded Bellasini as she began to describe in detail the events of a morning at her house. At the end of a story, they both screamed with delight, deciding the events of this morning could easily be made into a movie called Attack of the Crazed Electrical Appliances. As both girls started walking to class, Bellasini's mind was racing, trying to work out a way she could possibly call her dad. I got it, squealed Bellasini. Got what? Responded Gemma. The library. It's got an old direct wire connection to the internet. You're joking, responded Gemma in disbelief. Nobody ever goes to the library to use the internet. Besides, the computer in the library must be 100 years old. It probably doesn't even work anymore. I have to try, responded Bellasini. Dad got called into work last night, so he knows nothing about all the electrical problems at home. After a little discussion, it was decided Gemma would rush ahead to the first class and cover for Bellasini while she dashed to the library, where she would try to crank up the old computer. Well, if there is one person who might be able to get the ancient computer working, I guess it's you, Sini, proudly pronounced Gemma. Let's do it, girl.